Thank you, everybody, for coming to join us. And I have as you can probably see, I have a celebration slide on, just because it's been another interesting, every CAP season brings some new interesting things to it. And to some degree, maybe getting harder and harder to get selected. So to all of you, congratulations. And thank you for being here with us to go through what are the next steps in a very compressed time period. So let's get started. I actually had asked, and Danny, thank you for helping me in the chat. When I do these presentations, I tend to speak fairly fast. And one of the feedbacks that I got one time from, one of the surveys that Danny forwarded the slides for me was like, oh, that was great because you were not going as fast. So I have asked her to forward the slides for me so that maybe that will slow me down. So we'll see. So anyway, thank you for being here. Let's go through the process. This is what we're going to be talking about in general. Process timeline. Everyone wants to know about that. And it is very important in this case because we have 90 days. Pre-filing, post-filing, H-1B approval, travel, always questions about travel, other things. And let's move forward to success together. As you probably know, you're all clients, teamwork is essential to get success at the end of the day. So something else, I know we are all have many balls in the air or in the lanes. We're doing this for you. Please stay with me, turn off distractions. I'm going to go through a lot of information in an hour. And I am going to give you a 5-minute break somewhere in the middle so that you can do whatever you think you need to do right now. And that is, again, so that you can stay with me during the presentation. Next. Okay, this is our core team. Ladies that you get emails from. Danny, probably you get emails from the most, maybe. Ellen, Priscilla, Cheyenne, our Corporate Immigration Bureau legal team, which have been in communications with all of you throughout this process and will continue to be your touch point through this process. To all of them, thank you for doing everything that they have done. Some of you know I was in Antarctica running a marathon that I completed while all of this was going on, and it had been a bucket list since 2013 or 14 or so. That shows the determination that carries through my professional life to do this, but without this team, that would have not been possible. So thank you to you all. And many of you know me, but I know we have new foreign nationals working with us. I have been practicing, we're going too fast. Practicing law for over 30 years, over 20 years, I'm sorry. Most of it immigration, and probably for the last 15 years, focus on business, corporate immigration law. We do a very narrow group of cases because we feel that's what makes us really good at what we do. There's many areas of immigration law that we do not touch because this is what we do best, and we want to do it as best as we can for you. Next. So I think the next slide, I started seeing it. I know some of you are familiar with this process to some degree. Some of you are not at all. So give me an idea. And this is also because again, going back to turning off the distractions, and this is for you, and I want you to be engaged because I believe that's how you learn most and best. On the chat, please give me a scale from 1 to 10, a number from 1 to 10, 1 being the least, like you practically know nothing about the immigration H-1B petition process, what's going to happen between now and say 5 months from now. So put it in the chat, what number are you at now? So how much do you know about the process to prepare and file your H-1B petition under the H-1B Cap process? Okay, awesome, thank you. Perfect. All right, thank you for doing that. Again, it gives me some perspective too as to, and as you can tell, a wide variety of numbers. My goal is that that number hopefully will double by the end of this presentation for you, okay? So let's do it, stay with me. Keep that number in mind. Okay, process timeline. These are the various stages that I'm gonna cover with you today, and then some, because I'm gonna go to, you know, after filing and USCIS adjudication, maybe approval or an RFP or whatever, and then even what happens after that. But right now, what we are doing and what we have been doing with many of you for the last month or so is planning and strategy. And that will continue over the next few weeks as we, you know, re-verify salaries, work locations, job duties, and other things that, so we did some due diligence at the beginning. Now that you are selected, we're going to go into a lot more detail as to what that job description or what that job entails, what the location is, and all other things to facilitate the approval by USCIS. I'll talk about the LCA, which is very unique to H-1Bs. That doesn't happen in any other visa category. The documents that we're going to request from you, the information from you, meaning both employer and employee. Again, LCA certification comes back, then we file your petition, then we wait for the adjudication. So that's very quick outline. Next, Danny. So let's go to pre-filing in more detail. That is what we're talking about right now, or doing right now. So for you employers on the call, thank you for being here. You do play a very important role. We couldn't do this without you. So I'm starting with, you know, this slide and the next one is all about you. Job description and salary. Pretty much most of you have sent that to us already. Some of you, there's still a little work to do here, but that's like, you know, what that drives the process. Then information and documents. Some of you, we have worked with you for a while, so we have this information. So some of you that gave me the, you know, the higher numbers in terms of the knowledge you have, but some of you we have not worked. This is the first time that we file an H-1B case for you. These are some of the information that we're going to need. Very important name and the title of the person who will sign the immigration documents. In for some of our clients, the person that signs the immigration documents is not the same person that we're dealing with on a day-to-day basis to prepare the filing. So that's why that line is there. Then the other things are corporate related data, like the your established FIN number, Then the next two, employee benefits summary or manual, and brochures, marketing collaterals, requests for proposals. The employee benefits summary is really important because that goes to support the LCA, which I'm going to talk about some more. But also, many of you have very beautiful employee manuals. And I include those in our immigration petition because our goal is to make your case as appealing, approvable for USCIS. Our filings are not just the basic information just to get a file. They're pretty, and we want them to be pretty. because USCIS is handling at least 85,000 of these cases over the next 3 months. I want yours to shine so that that adjudicator looks at it and goes, wow, this is an approval. Because I know at least 50% of the other 85,000 are just going to be RFE'd, request for additional evidence, because they're not well prepared. That's not going to be you. So employee summaries are important. Brochure, marketing materials, request for proposals, anything else relating to elevating, again, your company and what you do in the eyes of USCIS. And many of you, if not most of you, have marketing collaterals that basically do that. So I don't want you to do extra work. Just give me your marketing materials and we can, use from there. Employer address, worksite location. I'm going to touch on this again because now with the virtual work availability, this has shifted. It continues to shift, and it's important for this process. Some of your employees have supervised, like say, an architect that is not licensed. In order for us to file that petition for your own licensed architect, we're going to need the license of the supervising architect. And so this is just an example. For other cases, it may be something else, but that's something else we're going to need from the employer. And I put here project sample in italic because this is going to come back under the employee to-dos. And I have a complete separate slide about it, so I'll touch more on it later. That's it for this slide. And the next one, employers. Again, labor condition application, that's that LCA, very unique postings and public access retention files. Again, I will talk more about it. Tax implications. This is a reminder for those of you that know about it, and a FYI for those of you that don't know about it. If your H-1B candidate was in F1 status, so that's the only time that it applies. If they're abroad or if they're in other status like TN or whatever else, only F1, which is a student visa, they most likely are exempt from FICA. Once they become H-1B workers, that exception goes away. So you have to put tickler somewhere that, last week of September, when you're reviewing payroll, whoever does payroll, that the FICA exception ends. A few years ago, one of my clients asked, we do bi-weekly, so this cuts off right in the middle of the payroll period, and I don't have the flexibility of just saying as of October 1st. And my recommendation is that if you're in that situation, you eliminate the FICA exception for that pay check, that payroll, say September, whatever it's going to fall, September 25th, say. You're better off just taking a few extra dollars off at that point than having a penalty because you didn't take out money, the taxes that were required. So hope that helps. And then, of course, the other piece of all of this is some of you are going to be doing I-9 re-verification twice. You're going to be doing one now during the cap gap period, which I will explain, and you're going to be doing another one when that person becomes H-1B, in H-1B status October 1st. And most of you know, there's a new Form I-9 in the works. In fact, I was just on a webinar about that this morning, which my hope was that, when you go to a webinar, they talk about the hot topics, like the things that you must know. And I was like, okay, tell me the date. When is it coming out? Still nothing. We're still waiting for the government. So FYI, keep following my updates on this, because I will be putting out more as we know more. Okay, that's it for employers now. And you're not off the hook, so stay with me, because the next two slides are going to be employees, but then I'm going to come back and kind of put it all together. So Danny, let's go to the next slide. Okay, beneficiaries of H-1Bs, so employees, what do we need from you? Educational credentials and translations. Again, for most of you on this call, we have done that as part of the due diligence process. We have also started gathering and reviewing all the other documents that are here, your I-9s, the EADs. Some of you, which I would recommend, if you have this access to this, the STEM, some of you have the ability to apply for the STEM extension, please do. It is a gift to you. It gives you more protections than you can imagine, and they can be very helpful. If you do apply, again, which I recommend, we're probably going to need evidence that you have applied, just in case we get an RFE for maintenance of status, which I will touch some more later on. Then as we get closer to filing, we're going to be asking you for pay statements. Right now, we're asking for the 4. I used to do 2, but got a very annoying and frustrating RFE probably 3-4 months ago about maintenance of status. So now I'm providing 4. So basically, if you get paid bi-weekly, it's going to be 2 months of pay statements that get filed with your H-1B petition. And then here you see again a project sample. Okay, next slide. Okay. Employees consideration again, work location. Many of you are young, you're renting apartments, you may be moving. Know that, again, because of this virtual capabilities that we have right now, your work location may change, and your work location is critical for the LCA, the labor condition application, is critical for many things. So hopefully, as we have communicated with you, I know I remember one email, somebody that was moving. Please try to have the address where you're going to be located by the time we file your LCA, which for many of you, and in fact, we had a team meeting. We have team meetings every Tuesday where we all get together and talk about, what are the priorities for the week. And of course, H-1B Cap was on that team agenda. And our goal is to file and for many, I think pretty much everybody, Priscilla, Ellen, and Cheyenne have outlined the H-1B petitions that they need to file. And we're in line to file everything within the next 2 months, which is a month ahead of the filing deadline. So we need your help, again, to make that a reality. And we want to do it that way so there is breathing room. Also, because we don't want to be the last ones like most people will be. And that's what USIS will get even more inundated and more, not happy with their work. And I don't want that. I mean, I want your petitions to hit USCIS when they're in a happy mode still. Okay. With, again, work location, the LCA, and the posting. It's hard to explain why, but if your work location includes home, which for many of you it will be, you will receive from us a posting notice that is the same one that we sent to your employers, that is required to be posted at your work location. So if your work location is home, please just post the notice somewhere in your apartment, in your house. It could be in the fridge. It can be at your office door if you have one. It is, I think it's the most ridiculous requirement, but it is what it is. So you will get, again, a posting notice from your paralegal, post it, sign it, send it back to us. So that's the piece of, and there's two pieces to actually the LCA. There's the posting that you're going to do at home, and when the LCA gets filed and certified, when it comes back to us, we're going to send you a notice or acknowledgement, basically, that you received a copy of your certified LCA. That document goes to your employer's public access file, so documents that the employer has to keep. Okay, so please, just as you get them, send them back to us. Help us not to have to follow up with you on just little things like this. Okay, cap gap. Some of you have the huge privilege of the benefit of cap gap, which I have a whole slide about it, but basically it means that if you're in F1 status and you qualify for cap gap, you will be able to continue to work even though your employment authorization has expired through September 30th. One of your responsibilities would be to stay in touch with your DSO so that they can update your SEVIS files, so that USCIS also knows, that your school knows that you're on the cap gap and you're going to continue to work. This is very important. So you can pretty much take a screen of this slide, a screenshot of this slide, because this is important. And then again, apply for a STEM if you benefit from that. Some of you have dependents, a spouse, minor children. If that is the case, and they need to be included in your H-1B filing so that they transfer status to H4 or they gain H4 status, and you have not talked about it with your immigration paralegal, please do, because it is to your benefit that your spouse, minor children get filed concurrently with your H-1B, if that's the case, if they need to come under you. Okay, that is it for employee considerations. Let's see what's next. Okay, coming back to the process timeline, and the reason why it is here is because now I'm going to talk about the LCA. So you've heard me talk about the LCA. Let's talk about that in a little bit more detail, which is the next slide. Okay, again, very unique attestation, posting, and certification that only happens for H-1B filings. It contains, I think right now it's a 6-page document or 4, among other things: job title, wage, location of employment. It requires certain postings that, like I said to you, now the notice of posting could be done in 2 ways. The hard copy, which again for a national status, what you will receive from us. Employers, some of you are doing electronic postings, some of them are doing hard copy. And we know the ones that are doing what. If you're new to us, this is something that we're going to have to decide with you, whether to post electronically or hard copy at the work site, or if it is electronic notice, it would be kind of like an intranet. We need the postings signed back from the employer and the employee. And again, the employee also needs to sign the acknowledgement of receiving a copy of the LCA. We cannot file the H-1B petition without this certification. So that is the first thing that we're working on. In fact, I think Cheyenne already sent me this morning like 6 of her notices for review that are going to be going to you all, those that are working with her, so that we can get this process going. So the way the LCA works is we prepare those notices, we send the notices for you to post, and once we have confirmation that those notices are being posted or have posted, then we file the LCA. The LCA takes 7 to 10 days to get certified. So during that time, we continue to work with you on preparing the rest of the documents that need to be prepared, which is the next slide. Okay, project summary. I actually did a video about this because it can get confusing and it takes time, and I didn't want to take 10 minutes of this video to talk about the project summary. The reason why this is important, and in fact, I've been doing this project summaries. It came out of, again, I do some things because we get a request for additional evidence that is very frustrating. And then I go into like, how can I prevent this in the future from happening again? And that's how we protect, we enhance our petitions and protect them from RFEs as much as we can. So this is how this evolved. And I believe because of this project sample, and of course, because we do a very good job, because of your teamwork, our petitions are very, very good. And for the last, I'm going to say now, since the registration process started, we have had all approvals, all of our H-1B visas have been approved without an RFE, and all filed and approved within the timeline. I'm very, very proud of that, because it's an evolving, the practice changes almost on a daily basis, but we're staying on top of it every single time. And we adjust what we do and what we request from you based on what we're seeing as trends. So my petitions today are very different from what I did 5 years ago, but all to your benefit, because I'm just adjusting. So back to the project summary and the project sample. This is not required, but to me, it's icing on the cake. Is a way to show to USCIS a specialty, the specialty of the occupation. That is like the top RFE that we get, we meaning attorneys that practice in the H-1B field. Show us that this is specialty occupation, shows that it requires the degree or requires the courses or requires the education that the foreign national brings to the table to do this job. Oh no, we think that someone with an AA degree can do it, so show us otherwise. So that's what the project summary goes to show. We ask your employer, and for some of you, we already have this projects from working with your employers for a number of years. So your work is going to be minimal. It's just going to be updating, including your education courses. For some of you that we have not worked on a project summary before, it's going to be a little bit more involved. From the employer side, what we're going to need is a project. And we're going to send you again a sample of what this is going to look like, something that you will be working on when you get your H-1B status. And then we take that project sample, we input it into our database. We include the duties of the profession, and then we ask the foreign nationals to include the courses that they took, and not all of them, just a general collection of courses that they took to show that, this is how I can do this, and photos, 3-4 photos of the project. Photos, tell a lot. So I like photos. Now, for foreign nationals, please do not overthink this. That is not what I'm asking you to do. I just want you to follow the outline that we give you, and that would be good. Okay. Another question that we get a lot is processing time, processing options. So there is 2 options for filing these cases. One, regular, meaning, your case goes in the queue. And last year, the average processing time without premium was 3 to 5 months, maybe it's 3 to 4. They did a pretty good job. They meaning USCIS, which is compliment to them. It has to be before, well, it should be, that doesn't have to, but it should be before September 1st. If it's not, then premium process may come into the consideration. So again, you can file regular or you can file premium. Premium is faster with the $2,500 fee added onto the process. And it's a strategic decision. And we will evaluate this with you, with the employer and the foreign national, if they want to participate in our conversation, to determine whether the case should be filed premium or not. I have my own views as to, it's not my own, I think many corporate immigration attorneys are very strategic as to when they use premium, because it could lead to a request for additional evidence that is unnecessary because of the timing. And you won't know that, but we know that because this is what we do every day. And we feel the flow and we feel the vibes of what's happening with USCIS. So for some of you in the call, probably I wouldn't, I mean, maybe 10%, 20% premium would be something that we would recommend. For some others, we're probably just going to say, let's just see what happens. Let's just file. You can always upgrade to premium, and that may become an option or may become a necessity if your case is not adjudicated by September 1st. Okay, so that's all I have to say for now. Okay, next. Okay, this is kind of a consolidating slide as to what we have talked about and what is going to happen next. Because you're going to come out of this call and go, well, okay, what do I do now? So the next things, again, pretty much as we speak, the corporate immigration paralegals are working on the notices of postings, are working on the LCAs, so that those are part of the immigration forms that I have up there. That's the first thing that is going to go out. Then while that is being certified by the Department of Labor, not USCIS, we will continue to work with you on immigration forms, the data that goes into that the immigration form, project summaries. For you employers, we're going to be drafting the employer support letters. So we do that work for you, and then we send it to you for review. We obviously get some information that we need from you to create that employer support letter, but at the end of the day, it's going to be ready for you to sign. Then the labor condition application, the LCA, by then it should be certified. So we put it all together. Some of you, if not most of you, employers, paid only for a certain, which is, the way to do it, or the way that we've been doing it. We didn't know whether the case was going to be selected or not. So filing fees have not been collected yet. So you will be getting representation agreements for the filing fees over the next few weeks too, so that those can come in so we can prepare the checks to go to USCIS. For employers, also, one of the requirements, again, of this LCA is that you keep a public access file. We do that as part of the process for you. We create an electronic file and we send it your way. That is like the bottom of the priorities right now. So you may not get those until, most likely until after the case has been filed. But it's just something that you have to keep on your own files for potential audits. They're not often seen, but you do need to have this electronic public access files. Something else that I want you to know, we are using Teams as one of our technology tools. So for some of you, depending on what you have as available to you, we may be sending the employer support letters, certainly project summaries via Teams, so that we can collaborate on it if you have that capability, if you choose to do it that way. Okay. So again, if you don't hear from us tomorrow, do know that what we're doing right now is preparing the notices and the LCA. That's a priority. Do you recommend that the public access files are kept as a hard copy, or is keeping them electronic okay? Good question. So for the last few years, we have transitioned to electronic versions of the PA's public access file, and those have worked fine. They're accepted by USCIS and any of the other agencies. And of course, it's easier for you because it's less paper. So hopefully that helps. Okay. All right. Next, Danny. Oh, I think this is my favorite slide. I thought it was coming. Okay. Your petition package. So this is the end. This is when we put it all together. We prepare it really nicely. We put a nice vibes and a nice ribbon in your petition package. You're gonna get an email similar to this. Was carefully prepared, sprinkled with luck, and we wished it bon voyage. So that is my hope that over the next, again, 6, 7, 8 weeks, you will all be getting an email similar to this. And frankly, we do send those with lots of luck and love as we put them in the mail. I'm a big believer that those vibes help. Okay, so this is the big picture of what's happening over the next few weeks, months. Next slide, I think, is kind of a transitional slide to the next one. Oh, this may be your 5-minute. Yes, it is your 5-minute coffee break. So because of the time right now, let me just give you a 1-minute coffee break. So Danny, I have 2:40 on my computer. You can all do whatever you want for 1 minute. 2:41, we're coming back and we're going to continue. But I just want you to take a deep breath. I need to take a deep breath. And we'll be back. So back at 2:41. Okay. My God, a minute goes by a lot quicker than I thought. I was like, it is 2:41. Okay. On the chat, making sure that you all came back to me. Say, yes, I'm here, ready to continue to learn. I am not going to. Okay, thank you. Some more. There's quite a few of you. Want to make sure that you're back with me. Yes. Okay. Awesome. All right, cool. All right, Danny, what's next? Okay. So after the celebration of filing comes, what do we do next? First thing that I am going to ask you, be patient, please. Again, there is 85,000 petitions that USCIS will be processing. It is chaotic over there. They don't necessarily hire a whole bunch of extra staff because of it. They just shift things around. So if we have other cases like L's and O's and this and the other, we feel the impact on everything else that is happening. So again, we may not be communicating with you because we don't have anything new to tell you. So once we file, we will let you know that your petition has been sprinkled, sent with good vibes and good luck, and is off to USCIS. The next thing that should happen is that we receive a notification from USCIS called a receipt notice that they've accepted your petition. It met the first kind of a screening process for them. And, then it gets passed on to the second level adjudicator to continue the adjudication of the petition. Because of the number of filings that are happening, it will not be unusual that it will take 30 days or more before we get a receipt notice back. So don't panic. This is just the way it happens. Every so often we do get within 2 weeks the receipt notice, but I'm not counting on that. If that happens, yay, that's awesome. Some of you are going to need something for your schools, for your I-9 verifications as to evidence that something was filed with USCIS. In those cases, what we are going to give you is the FedEx receipt, the FedEx, the confirmation of FedEx, the USCIS received your petition, and that's what we've done in other years because there's nothing else. So USCIS issued a receipt notice within 30 days. This is really important for those of you that are taking advantage of Cap Gap, because the petition needs to be accepted by USCIS before your employment authorization expires so that you get the Cap Gap benefit. I'll cover that in another slide. But once USCIS receives and accepts your case, is placed in a queue for processing, we will continue to monitor and provide updates. For employees, again, you may not hear from us every week or every week. We know you're anxious, we feel the stress, but just, again, be patient is the main theme of this slide. Okay, next. Okay, you've heard me talk about Cap Gap. If you were in prior presentations with me, you have seen this. To me, it's pretty awesome. When I started practicing immigration law, this did not exist. So for some of you that Cap Gap is a benefit, without this, you would have gone home for when your EAD expired and waited abroad until September to re-enter the United States in H-1B status. So it is a big deal. And again, as we have outlined the cases that need to be filed, we're giving priority to the cases that will benefit from Cap Gap to get those out first, so that to protect your work authorization. Okay, next. And I put a little heart on the slide again, because I think I love that you have this opportunity. As I mentioned before, H-1B, for the Cap Gap to kick in, USCIS has to receive the petition before the current EAD expire, and the petition has to be filed as a change of status, not consular process. If this particular H-1Bs have not been adjudicated by September, then we will consider premium processing. And again, as I mentioned before, these are our out of all the cases that we have to file that were selected, the first ones going out the door will be the ones that have the Cap Gap benefit. Okay. And frankly, we only have, like I said, we've planned out your cases so that they're all going to happen within the next 8 weeks. Next. Okay. Employers, this is for you. You will have to do an I-9 for your verification of employment, because many of your foreign nationals may be here on an EAD that expires during the summer. If they benefit from Cap Gap, this is what you would do. You would go into your current I-9 and you would put additional information, Cap Gap extension through September 30th, and then see the I-20 attached. You remember when I said to the foreign nationals, I said to them, you need to stay in touch with your DSO, because they're the ones that are going to provide you with a new I-20, confirming the Cap Gap. Employers, that is what you're going to need for this. I just got it. So no, Danny, go back to the prior slide for a second. Oh, the one before that. Sorry. So look at the slide, the bar in green here. For good or bad, CPT, the Cap Gap only applies to those on post-completion OPT and OPT STEM, nobody else, okay? No, they want CPTs, no pre-completion OPT. This is it, okay? Next. So go back to whatever I was before. Okay, so that's, oh, keep going, I-9. So employers, this is a sample of what it's going to look like. If you don't have an I-20, because the DSO has not provided it, other things that could be here as evidence is the receipt notice from USCIS that also provides for the cap gap, or the FedEx if there's nothing else. Okay, next. Okay, I touched on this. The most common requests for evidence post-filing are specialty occupation, which we're tackling with the project summary, and we're trying to prevent that kind of RFE. Employer-employee relationship, which I rarely have those because most of our employees are working directly for an employer. They're not placed on third-party sites. And the employee benefit document that I ask you employers to provide also goes to support this employer-employee relationship and avoids the RFE. Beneficiary qualifications, I rarely get an RFE on that because we do really a good job with making sure that we have all your credentials for our nationals, that you know, that all your CPT, your I-20s and all that kind of everything is in there. And then the next, so the most common RFEs is specialty occupation. And then the next one that I've been getting here and there is this maintenance of status, which for some of you, this is already a red flag in our files, and we know who you guys are going to be, guys and girls, because you may have had a kind of an unusual immigration history. Anything that is a little unusual or uncommon, it's game for an RFE. So we're working with some of you on that. Okay, next. All right, checking in. You know, I'm putting a lot of information out there. I'm going very fast, even though Danny's forwarding the slides for me. Are we all good? Haven't lost you yet? Tell me a yes on the chat. You're with me. Yes. Okay. Cool. Awesome. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Let's see what's next. Okay. So we prepare the file. We handle post-filing issues, and now, yes, we have an approval. So what happens? Let's see what that looks like. This is what they look like. You know, well, some of you may have never seen this before because you haven't been in H-1B status. But the notices, it's going to say approval notice, class, you know, H-1B from blah, blah, blah to blah, blah, blah. So for this year, it would say 10-1. So this was one from last year. 10-1-2023 to, you know, 3 years from now. And the bottom of that is the detachable I-94 that the employers will use for their I-9 verification. I cannot wait to see many of these coming our way. Okay, next. Okay, another example for employers of what they're going to need to use to verify the H-1B status. It's typically a List A document, passport of the foreign national, and then the I-94 record, whether it is the bottom of the I-797 that you just saw, or if they're abroad and they're coming into the United States, then they will get the CVP electronic I-94. We have someone on some of you, that's what's going to happen. It's going to be consular processing. Okay, next. Okay, I get many questions about travel. Next slide. And I made a point of saying what I said about the, you know, my love for the cap gap, because what I get from many of you is, oh my God, really, I cannot travel. Oh my God, it's the end of the world. I cannot travel for months. Well, the opposite would have been, you're forced to travel to your home country for 4 months. So picking the battles, I think I choose the no travel for 4 months. Then you know what? At the end of your EAD, you go home and you come back in September. So sometimes we kind of need to know what the alternative is, and then our options don't look so bad. So travel. When we file your petition, and this only applies for those of you that are here that are on F1 status, and your status is going to end. It's going to end when your EAD ends. So, and if we file a petition on H-1B with a change of a status, which is what we're going to do for most of you, we're asking USCIS to change your status in the United States to H-1B status October 1st. If you leave the country, there is no status to change. You're not here. So you could be abandoning all the work and all the hope that you have, okay? So no travel once we file your H-1B, even after your H-1B has been approved, because again, your status doesn't kick until October 1st. And if you travel, which you can, but you're going to be abroad, you're not coming back in, okay? So keep that in mind. Now, after October 1st, yes, you can travel, but, and that's the next slide. Many of you, whether you're change of status or whatever, whatever the situation is, hopefully as of October 1st, you will have an H-1B. You have an H-1B status. So if you have in your passport a TN, an F1, an L, who knows, B1, you're not going to be able to re-enter the United States under that visa category because you're no longer in that visa category. You now have an H-1B visa. So when you travel abroad, you will have to Consular process the appropriate visa, which would be an H-1B. If you're already abroad, we have some clients that are abroad, you will be coming into the United States for the first time on your H-1B visa. We will file your H-1B, not as a change of status, but as consular processing. And then we will work with you for the consular processing so that you get your H-1B visa stamp in your passport in September, hopefully, or before. But you typically cannot enter the United States but 10 days before your status begins. So at best, you will be able to enter September 20th or so. And then you enter in H-1B status. Now, this is a separate process from your H-1B. So many of you will email me in whatever, November, and say, hey, I want to go home for the holidays. That's awesome. What do I need to do? I thought it was part of my H-1B process. No. Consular processing is a separate process, especially for, to me, consular process has become even more challenging than H-1B processing because of all the changes around the world and all the changes around the consulates as a result of the pandemic. Consular processing can be a nightmare. It is not included as part of your H-1B process. It's not included as part of the payment that was made for the H-1B process. This is a separate process. For some of the employers, we have an arrangement for something called a mini consular process, where we guide you, we provide you minimal guidance, but a very good guidance as to what needs to happen, what you need to do. And depending on your case, mini really would not be what we recommend. We recommend full-fledged, where we pretty much take you step by step for various reasons. But just know that, again, once you get your H-1B approved, if you want to travel, consular processing will be required at some point after that, okay? And we have a whole infographic on this that you will get. Next. Okay, coming to the end. General considerations, just reminders, U.S. accepting and processing 85,000 of these. It is chaotic. Flexibility and patience are key. If you have dependents, just remind us that they are there. H-1B takes effect October 1st, no, not before. Yes, apply for STEM OPT if it is available to you. Next. So this are more resources that are going to come your way. Again, project summary, video instructions. I'm going to repeat it again. You've heard me say this a few times, and it is important, but it's not, your petition does not depend on the project summary. This is icing on the cake. Okay, so the foundation that we worked so hard on with you all is what is required. Project summary is there to enhance your petition, to potentially avoid an RFE. Okay, do not overthink it. We will send you also an H-1B infographic to, fun way to review what we just talked about. Also a Consular Processing infographic and the webinar recording. Nice. Coming down to the last minute here. Okay, remember those numbers? What are they now? Whatever you were on when we began, on a scale of 1 to 10, show me your learning curve. Love it. Oh, I like these numbers. Okay, want to see a few more, but I am just thrilled. We've gone from like 2s and 3s and 4s to 8s and 9s. Yes, very nice, very nice. Thank you so much. All right, and let me stretch that a little more and say, what information would you need to make that a 10? I mean, I'm doing this based on experience and things that come up, but if there is anything else that that you're like, you know what, Giselle, you should talk about whatever, it would be very helpful to us, whatever it is, just that would be helpful to us. Okay, so think about that. Okay, next. Okay, well, I guess you kind of confirmed with your numbers that this was helpful. So yay, I'm very happy, and hope you are too, that you took the time to be here. Next slide, Danny. Oh, okay, so I have one more for you, and this is almost the last slide. So our goal is, again, to give you clarity, to give you ease of the process. Just quickly jot down one thing that you learned today that gives you clarity and ease in the process. It could be, oh, I learned about Cap Gap. Oh, I know how to re-verify an I-9 under Cap Gap. Oh, whatever it is. Just one thing that you learned today that gave you clarity and ease for us part of this process. Let me see what those look like. What moved the needle? From 4, okay, thank you. Okay, nice. Okay, good. Cool. Awesome. Okay. Great. I appreciate that. And again, if there are some specific things that you would have liked to know more about, as you work with your paralegals or Danny or me, you can send us an email and say that, a little more of that would have whatever been helpful. I think I have my last slide is coming up. And it's basically, yep, what's next is one, thank you again, all of you, for being here, for being engaged. We appreciate you. We appreciate your teamwork. And we look forward to working with all of you to get all your cases beautifully filed, prepared, and submitted to USCIS with awesome vibes and seeing all the approvals coming through. Okay. Thank you so much. And we're going back to work. All right. Take care, everybody.